Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to Wild Werewolf. Are you ready to embark on a wild and thrilling journey into the world of werewolves? Here, Hazar. We'll explore the untamed nature, the raw power, and the captivating stories of these mythical creatures. So, get comfortable and let's unleash the wildness together. Chapter 16, John and Rosalyn. That was a stab in the back. Yes, maybe I'm being a little dramatic and in fact that only anticipated the inevitable, but Daddy had no business interfering at all. Now, not only my stupid brother knows whose mate is for sure, he has a good chance to meet her. Fuck. I knew I was losing Alpha, but there's no need to rub it in my face. I barely got any sleep after that bomb. Little did I know my other parent was brewing another. The next day, at the full moon ceremony, Dad dropped a bomb on the entire pack, and I don't mean when he told them I was attacked. He wants to transform the Alpha Challenge and change it to a wit competition of sorts. I don't know the specifics yet, but that was a curveball. Max Brady, my fated Nate. Whites flashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I don't think my brother could beat a 5-year-old at an intelligence competition. So that means he could be the first Huntington to lose Alpha in 120 years. Harsh. Anyway, it's not my problem anymore. I am not one to throw in the towel. But I don't see any light at the end of this particular tunnel. So mate, are you sure you want to change the Alpha Challenge? Daddy asked him at breakfast the following day. Yes, Felix, I'm sure. That's why I have announced it. I figure you'd be happy your son's mate wouldn't go through what you had to. Dad spat at him. You don't know it'll be our son yet. It's 8 months out. Daddy rebuked. Thanks, Daddy. I appreciate it. But what you set in motion can't be stopped now. I croaked. You can't blame your father for helping his son. Any more than I can blame him for. Joe's Alan. Dad stated. I and Emmett laughed out loud. In fact, Aunt Denise too. Thanks. Dad, I needed a laugh today. I smirked. I just can't help but think you set yourself up to fail on this one. I mean, a mem may be many things, but a smart challenge. I have doubts. I snickered. I am smart. Thank you very much. Just not in the same way you are. Little sister. He rebuked. Sure. I am whatever you tell yourself late at night. I just hope maybe your mate can help you. She does look smart. I told him in an amused tone. Thank you. Rosalyn, I'll take the compliment. He croaked. See, son, that's a good way to resolve a conflict. Daddy chimed in. Thanks. Daddy, he replied, smiling. I muttered traitor to Daddy. The next day, I faced warrior practice as I did most days. It was just to pass the time. Sure. I always got kicked around, but at least I was getting my exercise on. Silver linings. John has been there for me since that dinner. I just never felt into it anymore. I mean, I still loved him and didn't want to break up or anything, but I wasn't in the mood for girlfriend stuff. Sometimes, we do just want to Netflix and chill. Who knew? Of course, being the gentle boy that he is, he never wavered in his desire for my company. So we passed the day watching movies and eating popcorn in the playroom. It was so boring even Daddy gave up his watchful eye on us. But to me it was nice to just stay together and enjoy each other's company. I am at a hospital. The nurses put me on a wheelchair and as I seat on it, I notice my huge belly. I'm pregnant. They rushed me to the delivering room. And Daphne's already there waiting for me. She says I was doing a great job until lay down on the hospital bed. Which I did. I see a lot of hospital equipment. Suddenly, someone asks, has the father of the child arrived? No, he's running late, but he has been notified. Aunt Daphne replied. I look to Aunt Daphne and tell her I am scared. She reassures me it's everything all right with me and the baby. I smiled at her. Push, says the doctor. By now my legs are open wide. The doctor is trying to deliver the baby. Aunt Daphne is there to support. Push, repeats the doctor. I'm panting like crazy. Sweating trough all my pores. It's hard. I wind. I'm in so much pain already. It's nothing like I'd ever felt before. It's okay. Rosalyn. Just a little push, John said to me, holding my hand. But no, he was there by my side at the room. He was very nervous, but he didn't let it show. I feel like I'm being torn from inside out when the baby comes out. It's an unbearable pain. I almost faint. I screamed. I hear the baby cry. Welcome, little Alpha, says the doctor as he wraps the baby in a blanket and checks their health. The nurse moves to hand me my baby when. Rosalyn, wake up. John woke me up, shaking me softly. I looked at him so scared. Tears escaped my eyes. I was nervous and so angry. What happened? You were screaming in your dream, he asked, worriedly. I jumped on top of him and started slapping him up and down. I was fuming. I hit him and he tried to defend with his arms up, covering himself. But I wouldn't stop. He yelled for help. Daddy came and cried out for assistance. Uncle Nate came and so did Dad and separated me from him. I was livid. What happened? Rosalyn. Dad asked me as he kept me from hitting John. What happened, son? Uncle Nate asked him, very concerned. I don't know. John answered, nearly crying. His expression was of deep worry. You fucker. I shouted at him. She was sleeping and woke up hitting me. I didn't do anything. I swear. John cried out to his dad. He looked so scared. Rosalyn, what happened? Tell me. Please. Dad stood in front of me and looked me deep in my eyes. I had a bad dream. I told him, sobbing. Yes, but why were you hitting John? Did he do anything? He asked me with a concerned tone. Yes, he got me pregnant. I told Dad and I could see the shock in his eyes. In everyone's. I sobbed. Hard. I cried in my dad's arms so much. I was inconsolable. John cried to his dad's. Half an hour later, we're in the kitchen. I'm drinking a glass of water and telling them all about my dream earlier. As I spoke, I saw John's face looking more and more scared, and she was already frightened to begin with. Can't you smell it on her? I can't. Uncle Nate asked Dad. No, but it can take a while for the scent to be caught. She's too early on. Dad replied. Worriedly, I sobbed some more. Daddy came to my side and held me. He too looked at me concerned. I'll take her to the hospital to do some exams. Dad told us after a while. I can't believe this. I took the fucking pill, I cried it out. You do know that the pill have to be taken at a specific time in the month and for a certain amount of time for it to work. Right. Dad interjected. What? I and John shouted, gasped at the information. Are you sure? I asked him, looking deeply in his eyes. Yes, I am sure. Did your Aunt Daphne never tell you this? He retorted. No, I just took the pills and left. I didn't know any of this. I was so nervous. I admitted, though not easily. I used a condom. That's impossible. John exclaimed. He looked so shocked. A virgin and a condom. When did that ever go wrong? Uncle Nate snickered. Thank you, Dad. Really helpful. John was pissed. Both of us were. Rosalyn. I'm sorry. Dad, if you say I'm blocked from Alpha, I'm gonna gouge you. I know. All right. Don't need to throw it in my face. I spat at him, sounding livid. I was gonna say I'm sorry this is happening to you. I thought you're safe, he said in an apologetic tone. I thought so too. Dad fucking John fucking Underwood. I never want to see your stupid face again. I was fuming. I was so angry at him. Even though it's not exactly his fault. Not alone anyway. John cried. He was even more adorable when he was vulnerable, which made me even more mad at him. Dad wouldn't let the Underwoods accompany us. Only he and Daddy went with me to the hospital. It was out for the afternoon with Paul, so he didn't hear it until later. Of course, Aunt Daphne welcomed us when we got there, 'cause she was Uncle Nate's first call. I mean, that was obvious as she was gonna be a grandma. Gasp. She took some blood from me and ran some tests. All I had to do was wait for the results. I could go home and wait over there. But I refused to leave the hospital without knowing it for sure. After an hour, Emmett showed up at the hospital lounge where we were waiting. If you make any snarky comment, I swear I'll shift right here and eat you. I looked at him threateningly. I was not in the mood. He just holds me. I cried some more. I almost wanted John by my side through this. Almost. But right now I would just feast on his bones. I was so angry. After a few hours, Aunt Daphne took us to her doctor's office. I could see the stern look she had. I could tell this was difficult for her too. We entered the office minus Emmett, who waited outside. Aunt Daphne, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. You're not pregnant. She told me point blank. What? Are you sure? Did you run the labs? Ran it twice. I was baffled. So were my dad's. I did. Of course. This is not something I take lightly. You're not pregnant, she exclaimed, confidently. However, I did see something concerning on your exams, she continued. Dad's and I gasped. Wait. What? I was gobsmacked. You have a condition called polycystic ovary, which makes it very difficult for you to get pregnant in the first place. She told me. I was floored. Can you treat it? Dad asked her, worry coloring his tone. You can? Sure. But there's no guarantee that it'll work or that she'll ever get pregnant. She informed us. My heart sank. I didn't want to be pregnant now, but that doesn't mean I'll never want to. Of course I do. At least one with my mate, whoever he is, and only after college. Thanks, Aunt Daphne. I came here worried I ruined my life. Now my life seems more ruined than when I came in the first place. I croaked. I sounded devastated. It's not the end of the world. There are options available to you. She tried to cheer me up. I know. Thanks, Aunt Daph. I kissed her goodbye. We leave the medical office after Aunt Daphne gives me the prescriptions. And Emmett looked to us for an answer. I'm not blocked from Alpha, brother. I'm just blocked from giving birth altogether. I smirked in a gloomy tone. We'll explain later. Son, but she's not pregnant. Dad told him. He was relieved for me. It's just so vivid. The dream, I mean. The doctor even called the baby little Alpha. I spoke in a saddened tone. Funny. If you did have the baby, they could never be Alpha. Emmett said, looking confused. I know. That's the weirdest part. I pondered, baffled. Look at the bright side. You can still be Alpha. Daddy told me. Cheerfully. Thanks. Daddy. You always go for the glass half full. I croaked. It's my gift, daughter. Daddy replied. We all laughed softly. We go to the car parked outside the hospital. Emmett goes 2 hours since he arrived later. I was very much torn by the news. I didn't want to be pregnant, but I also didn't want the possibility to be removed from me. But at least I wasn't blocked from Alpha. Not until Emmett finds his mate this coming Friday anyway. But until then, there's always hope. Chapter 17, Never Tear Us Apart, John. I lost my footing. I am already a very white boy. But now I looked like a ghost. When Rosalyn said the words, he got me pregnant, I died a little. Not that the idea of having a baby with her is an awful one. I'm just very young. I just now had my first sexual experience. I wanted more. Much more. I didn't get it when she was just hitting me. Then, I got it. I was glad my dad was there to catch me like he always is. Because I was a wreck. When she told me she didn't want to see me ever again in her life, I cried even more. That's not what I want. I want to see her for the rest of my life. I do. Can't help it. I'll probably change my mind once I meet my mate. Unaware. But that won't be for another 3 years. At least, for a teen like me, that's a lifetime. It's not like Rosalyn, who could meet hers by the end of the next school year. If she's lucky, or if she's really lucky, she could have a mate dream and find him now, which would prompt her to send as Alpha. Of course, that wouldn't matter now that she's pregnant. Her dad said that if she had an unmated pregnancy, she would be blocked from Alpha. That would kill me, especially if she dreams about her mate before he finds his. Plus, let's face it, neither one of us want an unmated child, especially as she's the Alpha's daughter. I can already imagine the scandal when people find out about it. I know it's very unlikely that she gets rejected by her mate over this. But it's possible. Fuck. That'd be even worse. Now I am at my house, since I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital with her. And my mom can't even tell me the result because of some boring doctor law. My only hope is that my uncles tell me or my dad. Or at the very least, she texts me. I mean, it's the least you could do after you hurt someone. Literally. She's not pregnant. Dad snapped me out of my thoughts. Really? Are you sure? I double-checked. Yeah. Your mom ran the labs herself twice. He replied. Thank goddess. I exhaled the biggest sigh of relief. Tell me about it. I'm not ready to be a grandfather just yet. I'm way too young. Dad smirked. Don't get me started on too young. Dad, I had a cold sweat ever since she pointed the finger at me. I admitted. So very relieved. She didn't mean any of the stuff she said. Son, she was just upset. It's normal. She had way too much to lose. Dad said, trying to make me feel better. I know. Dad, I'm not mad at her. It's just hard to hear. You know, I mean, if I'd said it was her idea at that time, I think she would have scratched my eyes out. I snickered. Oh, definitely. You do not want to contradict a woman when she's pissed. That's like saying, you have nothing to be angry about. He told me in an amusing tone. I get it. I'm just relieved for her. Also, if she was blocked from Alpha for something I had anything to do with, I'd be devastated. Not gonna lie. I confessed. A little sad. I know. Son, it would feel like it's your fault and taint your relationship forever. I mean, for as long as you have till she's mated. Dad spoke in a serious tone. Exactly. But don't remind me. I smirked. Well, the important lesson here is, always be safe. Or better yet, don't have unmated sex. Dad advised in a condescending tone. I laughed a little. Of course, Dad. Always. Now more than ever. Not that we'll ever. I trailed off. Well, not after this scare. He snickered. The next day, at warrior training, she's back at her closed-off self, without making eye contact with me. I cannot believe you were this close to be blocked from Alpha. Emmett spoke with a sad smile. I can't believe my idiot brother will meet his mate in 5 days. She replied, with an annoyed tone. Tell me about it. I could hardly sleep the last few nights. He smirked, feeling happy. You do know she may not show up. It's an old people's party. I interjected, but Ian didn't appreciate my opinion. Thanks, cousin. You can stop defend my sister now. She's not gonna be Alpha. He snickered. I'm not defending anyone. I'm telling the truth. Plus, you'll only be Alpha when your eyes are black. I rebuked. Annoyed. I'm sorry I didn't text you the result last night. I just had a lot on my mind. Rosalyn spoke to me for the first time today. It's okay. I understand. I would be devastated if you were blocked from Alpha on my account. I admitted in a pained voice. It's not your fault. John, I just said that cause I was angry. She confessed, making me gasp. It is partially his fault. Emmett interjected with a devious smile. Thanks. Always good with words. I just blamed you because I was angry. She stated, I get it. Don't worry. I'd be angry too if I were in your shoes. I tried to empathize. I am angry at all this talking. Shut the fuck up and fight before I shift and attack the lot of you. Delta and Denise shouted at us. We immediately resumed training. 2 hours in, we are headed back to the pack house. Exhausted. Today is pack bag. I stay at the pack house cause there's no one in my home, since both my parents are working and my brother's in daycare. Good morning. Dear nephew, you can go directly to the warrior's locker room. Your towel is already there waiting. Uncle Felix greeted me. I do need a shower. We all do. I do as he instructed and my cousins go to their rooms. They take their towels, a change of clothes, and go to different bathrooms to take a bath. After the shower, I get dressed and go to the playroom. Since I'm not allowed to go to Rosalyn's room, I stay over there waiting. And waiting. And lunch. She never came to see me. I guess she was still pissed at the situation. Son, are you excited about Friday? Uncle Felix started. as we ate the meal prepared for us. Both my parents cooked well, but nothing beats the pack house cooks. The food was always delicious, be it breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Though the last time I ate breakfast here was when Nett was born and my parents were at the hospital. I was 4. At the dining hall table, everyone had their seats pretty much reserved. At the head, evidently, the alpha couple, followed by their immediate family. After that, other family members and mates, then warriors, then unmated folk. They were people over the age of 18 that have not found their mates but didn't want to live with their parents either. The pack house have rules, of course, that they come and go as they please. They only need to give notice to the kitchen so to not waste food in case they don't come to eat. But lots of them worked outside the pack, so it's mostly us and the warriors at lunch. Not all the warriors lived in the pack house. Of course, it was mostly unmated ones or mated without pups. Once you start a family, you rent a house inside the compound like Emmett's best friend's dad did, Mr. Johnson. It's all he talks about it. Daddy, Rosalyn interjected. Yes, Daddy. I hope she comes. Plus, I haven't seen Grandad in a while. Last time he showed me his gun. The A&M sounded excited. My uncle's gassed. Hopefully, he'll retire it like his job. Although, I find it very hard. He has a collection of them. Uncle Felix spoke, not very pleased. For Texans, neither one of the Ford twins were very fan of guns. Are you okay? Rosalyn, I mean after yesterday's news. Uncle Dan asked her, worriedly. I am Dad. I was crushed. Of course. But at least I'm not going to be a teen mom. She replied. I was confused. Why would you be crushed? I thought you were relieved. I asked her, puzzled. It's complicated. John, I'll give permission to your mom to explain to you. Okay? She offered. Okay. I guess. I mumbled. Why won't she explain it to me? Uncle Tony, was it difficult for you to go college away from your mate like my mom? Or it's easier for guys? I asked him, curiously. It's worse for guys. Actually, because your mom doesn't think with. Never mind. But no, it wasn't easy for me. But I knew there was nothing I could do here. I mean, I could be a warrior. I have the training. But come on, have you met Denise? Can you imagine if she was my boss on top of being my mate? He smirked. We all laughed except for Aunt Denise, who scowled. No, I can't imagine. Uncle. I laughed. Why are you thinking about college already? Aren't you a freshman? He asked, quizzically. I am, but will be a sophomore next fall. But yes, I think I want to study something like engineering. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be beta. I croaked. Emmett avoided looking at me. I think it's great. Sound good for you. Maybe your mate will go to the same college as you. Who knows? My advice is apply everywhere. There are a lot of successful mates who attended college together and have good careers. He advised me, with a smile. I was happy to hear him out. Hopefully you don't impregnate any more girls until then. Emmett joked. His dads didn't laugh. Neither did mine. But everyone else stared at me, except for Ross. I didn't impregnate anyone. I rebuked, angrily. Plus, there's only one girl that I love. I continued, avoiding to look at Rosalyn. She certainly wasn't looking at me. That was an awkward lunch, and my mom wasn't even there to make inappropriate comments this time. I brushed my teeth and went to the playroom. But this time, I texted her if she wanted to talk. She said she was gonna chill in her room. Fuck. This was bad. I knew I was fucked if she got pregnant. But I didn't think I'd be this fucked if she was not. Uncle Felix took pity on me and kept me company. This is the state I was. I think I need friends. Is she mad at you still? He asked me, carefully. I wouldn't know. She hasn't talked to me since yesterday. I replied, sadly, hang in there. Nephew, she's just going through a lot. He tried to console me. What was that at lunch? What does she have? I asked him, worriedly. It's better if my sister explains it. But she has a condition that makes it very difficult for her to get pregnant. So not only she wasn't pregnant, she found out she can't get even if she wants. He explained. Wow, that sucks. No wonder she was so sad. At least it wasn't at me. Uncle Felix, can you make an exception of the room rule just for today? I swear on my life I will not take advantage. I pleaded. You may go, but only for an hour. Tops. He answered, and I kissed his cheek. I was so happy. Thank you. I won't let you down, I said as I bolted towards her room. I knocked. Since we can't hear from inside the room, she opened and was shocked to see me. Are you crazy? If Daddy catches you here, he'll put a guard on me 24/7. She spat at me. Worriedly, I asked his permission first. I'm not an idiot. I smirked as I entered her room. Okay, I'm not in the mood to talk. She started, sounding defeated. It's fine. I just want to hold you if I'm allowed, I said without missing a beat. Just hold me. She looked at me doubtfully. Rosalyn, yesterday we thought we were pregnant. Trust me when I say sex is the least on my mind right now. I snickered. I mean, I didn't lie. It wasn't indeed. I lay next to her on the bed, just holding her close. Plus, I could never betray Uncle Felix's trust. He's literally my only uncle. I doubt it. She cut me off. We just stood there, holding each other. I understood she just wanted to be held, and I wanted to be there for her, in any capacity I can. If I'm honest, I could hold her forever. I didn't need to leave, only needed to be next to her. Her scent calms me like nothing else. I guess that's where love should be about, making sure the other person is cared for, that they're not alone even if they wanted to be. Not to crowd or annoy them. Just be there quiet, warm, attentive, waiting for her to want more. And for that, for her, I would wait an eternity. And there's nothing in the world that could keep me from being with her. Chapter 18, right here waiting a minute after an excruciating long wait. It's Friday morning. As I got ready for breakfast, I was radiant with the opportunity later on. Granddad's last day of work was today, so they were throwing him an office party down at the police station. If anything, it's a nice opportunity to see him say goodbye to his job of 20 years or so. He's been in the police for more than 30, but spent the last 20 here as Rutherford Falls Chief of Police, which is why Addie and Aunt Daphne came to be here in the first place. If they haven't, Dad wouldn't have met his mate, couldn't have ascended, and I wouldn't be here, getting ready to meet my mate for the first time. It could not be her, but come on. Apart from what happened to my sister earlier this week, dreams are foreshadowing for werewolves. If a werewolf dreams with something out of the ordinary, we'd pay attention. Plus, it's the only way the moon goddess communicates her wishes to us mortals. Like, who is your mate? For example. She gets to pick them, so it's only fair she announces them too. Is your cousin gonna come too? I asked Rosalyn, as I devour my pancakes. We're all at the dining hall having breakfast. He is your cousin too. And yes, he will. It's his granddad too. You know, Rosalyn snickered. We are all gonna be there for my dad, including my sister's family. Daddy stated, cheerfully. Great. I want everyone to meet my mate too, I said, excitedly. Just don't forget she doesn't know she is your mate. You can't do like your Aunt Denise and kiss Uncle Tony at our wedding and be done with it. Dad smirked. I scented him first. I am not an animal. Aunt Denise snickered. I know, Dad. Gosh, I'm starting to feel for Uncle Nate. The trouble he went through with Aunt Daphne. He even got arrested. Why was he arrested? By the way, I asked Dad, curiously. My dad found out they slept together, and since she was 17 and he was 18 at the time, he arrested Nate. But you can't be arrested for sex with a 17-year-old. That's why we call the age of consent. Not like. Daddy shoots a glance at Rosalyn. She gets pissed. Oh my goddess. He's as tall as Emmett. He doesn't look like a 15-year-old. She yelled, angrily. Yeah, but he still is. Daddy quietly rebuked. She looked angry at him. Wait, I wonder how old she is. I wondered. She's 17. Completed last December. Daddy informed me. Goddess, is there anything you don't know about your son's mate? Rosalyn questioned. Sour. There's plenty, but that's easy to find out. Daddy replied, not losing his cool. Thanks, Daddy. I hope you continue to live with us for a long time after I ascend. I told him. He melted. Of course. I will. But not so much in the Peck house. Daddy needs a suite, but we'll be close by if you need us. Plus, there are months of Luna training, even beyond your ascension. I mean, your Abula was relentless. I may have a degree in Peck law and don't know about it. He snickered. Barf. They trained the Luna better than the stupid Alpha. Rosalyn jabbed, displeasure ripping from her tone. Excuse me, young lady. I've trained for 18 years before I've ascended. Felix started as like a month before my birthday. Dad Bart. He did not like the implication at all. We know. Dada, she's just a sore loser. She knows I'm gonna ascend, so she tries to take away from the achievement. I stated, confidently, I'm not gonna let anyone bring me down. What achievement? You're born into it. The only Huntington who ever achieved anything was Aunt Denise, who gave up everything in her life and fought tooth and nail to be Delta. She spat at me. That's enough. Rosalyn. Go to your room. Now Dad ordered. She glared at him and left. She's just. Daddy tried to downplay it, but Dad wasn't having it. I know. Felix. But just because she's not going to ascend doesn't mean she gets to take a dump on being Alpha. I may have been born into it, but I fought like hell to keep it. It's not like I didn't have to bury 21 warriors, one of which was almost double my size. Dad was fuming. And he was right. It didn't come easy for him, especially with a male mate. The warriors present applauded Dad. If there's one thing a warrior can respect is someone who fought for his place. Literally, no one simply becomes a pack warrior. You train for it all your life. That's why most of them live inside the compound. They need to be ready at a moment's notice. Paul's dad have been training him and his brother ever since they could walk. I have been training since I first shifted, but was taught lessons at a very young age. Both Rosalyn and I were. Not that anyone can ascend as Beta or Alpha without warrior training. I mean, you need to lead by example. How a warrior is supposed to follow your lead if you haven't fought a day in your life. That's why Dad is so respected. And so is Uncle Nate. Don't get me started on Aunt Denise. Despite the awkward breakfast, nothing could break my spirit today. I was grinning from ear to ear all day. After breakfast, we had warrior training. Cause that doesn't stop ever. Unless Aunt Denise got sick, and she never got sick a day since I was 13 years old. The only time she missed her Delta activities was when she delivered her children. But that was before my sister and I started training. They're 5 and 6 years old now. I'm happy for you, cousin. I really mean it. I still want Rosalyn to ascend. But nevertheless, John told me between exercises. Thank you, cousin. That's fair enough. I'd be surprised if you were rooting for me. So I do appreciate it. I replied, happily. I know we don't talk about it, but I'm sure Paul will make a fine beta too. Just so you know. He continued, surprising all of us. I'm sorry it won't be you. I really am. But we wouldn't be ascending together. And he's my best friend since kindergarten. I apologized, even though I didn't need to. But I do appreciate his acceptance. I don't need anyone against me. It's bad enough Rosalyn is. I know. It's okay. I made peace with it a long time ago. But in case your sister meets her mate at the party today, I will lobby her to be Beta. He smirked. You would make an excellent Beta, I'm sure. But the only person she's meeting today is my gorgeous mate. I snickered. I hate when my brother's right. But I do appreciate you not giving up, John. Even if it means. I know. Ross, like I always say, you'd make an excellent Alpha. John stated. He was so whipped. Not that I judged him. If I were in his position, I'd act the same way. None of you'll be Alpha since you won't be making out if you're alive if you don't shut the fuck up and train. You don't want to see me mad. And Denise threatened. That wasn't her mad wow. When we got back to the pack house, I showered and got ready for lunch. But until that, I video chat Paul to update him. It's today, I said to him without hello. Oh my goddess. How excited are you? Dude, I'm beaming with joy. If she wasn't human, I would have already stopped by her house and introduced myself to her. I croaked. I know. No offense, dude. But I don't want my mate to be human. Sounds like a lot of work. My parents just saw each other and boom. He snickered. Their story is much more complicated than that. Actually. But still not as troublesome as Uncle Nate and Aunt Daphne's. I know. Right. I didn't want my mate to be human either. If she was a wolf, she'd be already at Luna training with Daddy. I smirked. You're right. How are you gonna explain all this to a girl you never saw? He questioned. Worriedly. I have no fucking idea. But fortunately we have time since we don't ascend in 8 months. I told him with a hopeful tone. Good luck. Bro, tell me everything later. He said. Expectantly. Of course. Brother. See you later. Bye. I spoke and ended the call. Later in the afternoon, we enter the police station. Me, my dad's sister, and the Underwoods. The entire place was decorated with photos of Granddad throughout his career. There was also flowers and ornaments. It was nice. It doesn't take long for us to spot him, as he is the man of the hour. And my grandma isn't far from him. We greet them joyfully. There are a lot of handshakes, hugs, and kisses for the kids, especially Matt since he's the youngest of the Fords. I take a beverage and roam around the place. It's been a while since I've been here. I mean, why would anyone be at a police station, especially at my age? But I take a look around to see the people present. Most of the deputies trained under him. There are a few old-timers, but since it's a small station, there weren't a lot of people working. Small town. You know, an hour of boring stuff goes by speeches. People crying. Gifts and still nothing. I'm starting to think tonight was a bust. And I was so looking forward to it. Nothing yet. Daddy asked. Excitedly. Trust me, Daddy. If she was here, I'd already seen her in a heartbeat. It's impossible to miss your dream girl, I said. Very disappointed. Chief Ford. What about the new chief? Wasn't he supposed to come tonight too? Dad asked. Smoothly. He was, but he had a family emergency and couldn't come. Unfortunately. Granddad answered and my heart sank. Not that I hadn't already suspected by now. I'm sorry to hear. I was looking forward to meet him, Dad stated, sounding disappointed. He'll be at the county fair tomorrow with his whole family. You can see him there, if you'd like. Granddad replied and a light bulb went off in my head. Really? You don't say. Chief, I think I'll take my children over there tomorrow. Thanks for the heads up. I love county fairs. Dad spoke. Cheerfully. He hated county fairs. It's havoc on our noses because of the variety of scents. But I would go alone if I had to and he knew it. Plus, it's not like there's any danger in a small town. Even when the entire population is going to show up tomorrow. That is the biggest event of our city. It didn't take long for us to go home after that. I was heartbroken, but at least there's hope. I'm sorry, son. I really hoped she was going to be there tonight. Daddy comforted me as we rode back in the car. I did too, Daddy. But that's okay. I think Rosalyn jinxed it. I snickered. If I had that kind of power, I'd be already on my mate's lap by now. She joked. Sort of. Not really. Rosalyn, Dad shouted, looking disgusted. Daddy grimaced. Did I say lap? I meant arms. She smirked. I laughed. Hey, at least she's honest. That's okay. Sis, at least you have the unmade table in the meantime. I comforted her. Thank goddess I do. He's been so wonderful through all of this. At least, I won't be the spinster sister for a while. She snickered. You're not the spinster sister. You're 17 years old. Alpha Casper wasn't mated till he was nearly 19. Dad interjected in an annoyed tone. Yeah, but he didn't have to compete with Tony for it. She rebuked. You're right, daughter. But I also didn't ask for any of this. And no one can make me choose. I'm sorry, Dad stated. You don't need to be sorry. Dad, I get it. I wouldn't want to choose either. She acknowledged it. Very mature of her part. Thank you. Rosalyn. Dad replied. Hey, silver lining. At least there'll be plenty of people at the fair. Who knows, maybe my mate will drop on my lap. She joked. Daddy laughed. But not Dad. Dream on. Sister. If my mate isn't on my sight by tomorrow. My name is Intimate Huntington. I sounded as confident as could possibly be. And I hope to God she shows up tomorrow. 'Cause I'll be right there waiting for her to meet the love of her life. Chapter 19, Wicked Game Rosalyn. I admit, I was a little glad she didn't show up. I know it's petty. I'm sorry. Try as I may, I can't be happy for him. I just can't. I know he's my brother and I love him. But no. I may be losing Alpha, but I don't have to be happy about it. And I never will. Congratulations. Baby. You deserve it. John said to me as he kissed me on the lips. There is a crowd of pack members at the compound. They are all cheering me on. I am at the podium waiting to take my place. Dad takes the microphone. I give the Rutherford Falls pack your new Alpha, Rosalyn Huntington. The crowd applauded me for 5 minutes. I feel amazing. My entire family is there, so are the Underwoods. Also my Abula and Abuelo. I feel the happiest I've ever been in my life. I wake up with the happiest of smiles. I don't know what game someone's playing. But it could be worse. There are a lot of worse dreams to have than when you're ascending as Alpha. Even if it's just a dream. You look happy today. Ross, did you finally dream about your mate? Daddy asked me at breakfast and Demet gasped. He nearly choked on his food. I wish. Daddy. I spoke and Demet sighed in relief. No, I just dreamed I ascended as Alpha. I told him. But it shocked everyone. Matt Spidey. My fated mate. White splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. Howemick questioned. Dob snacked. I have no idea. I answered. Which is true. Was your mate there with you? Dad asked. Quizzically. Dad, if my mate was in the dream, I'd be already at his house by now. I snickered. Then how did you ascend without a mate? Mid asked. His tone was desperate. Then he realized something. Oh my goddess. Can you change the lore regarding ascension and allow unmated people to ascend? Amy asked, looking at Dad. Dad snacked. He looked so shook. So did our dads. Not in his lifetime. No, that's impossible. Uncle Nate interjected as he walked inside the dining hall, making all of us look at him. The warriors stand up to greet their beta, then take their seat again and continue breakfast. Son, that is literally the only absolute law we have. Even if I wanted to make an exception, which I don't even if I could, which I can't. Why would I choose your sister over you? Dad replied. Too thorough for my taste. Thanks, Dad. I snickered. Yeah, thanks, Dad. That was scary for a moment. Emmett sighed in relief. I mean, even if I were to choose her, which I won't, I can't choose an unmated werewolf to be Alpha. Like at all. Dad continued in a somber tone. We got it. Dad, thanks. He was killing my buzz. Was the unmade table there? Dad asked. Curiously. Stop calling my son the unmade table. Uncle Nate yelled. He can be mated. Just not two. He trailed off. I grimaced. Yes, he was. He kissed me right before I took my place at the podium. He even said I deserved it. I replied, with a giant smile on my face. See that's how you know it was just a dream. Because the unmade cousin was in it. And it stuttered. Uncle Nate glared at him, huh? At least, now your other dream makes sense. Uncle Nate pondered. Why, Uncle? I asked. But everyone was curious. Well, you can't have dreamed about siring an Alpha if you aren't one. So if you dreamed you sired one and now you dream you've ascended, that correlates, he explained. And it did made sense to me. If only these dreams would come true. You're right. Thanks, Uncle. I sounded chipper. Just keep in mind, you really can't ascend without a. He continued. That was short-lived. Not in this pack. nor in any pack I'd ever heard of. He stated, firmly, Uncle Nate, can I ask, did you or Aunt Daphne register John late or something? Or got the date wrong by any chance? I questioned him. It was a long shot, but who knows? He and Dad laughed out loud. I mean, they laughed hard. Even Daddy laughed too. Sorry. I was at the hospital when John was born. He did not get it wrong. Dad smirked. Yeah, sorry, niece. That's impossible. You can't leave the hospital without a birth certificate. Uncle Nate replied, once he stopped laughing. Dad, did you by any chance? Sorry. Rosalyn, but I admire your nerve. You really do have the blood of an alpha. Dad complimented me. At warrior practice, I told John about the dream. Wait, I was there and not your mate. I like this dream already. John swooned. Yeah, but that's the problem, isn't it? She can't ascend without one. Never. Ever. I double-checked. Annette snickered. We know. Amen. I deadpan. I'm confused. How did you ascend without a mate? John wondered. Puzzled. We're confused too. She even had the nerve to ask your dad if he registered you in the wrong date of birth. Emmett smirked. Joan laughed. It was worth the shot. Puppy. I spoke and John glared at me. Don't call me puppy. Ever. He barked. Ooh, puppy is mad. Croaked. John glared daggers at him. I'm not joking. It's bad enough my mom calls me that. He complained. Angrily. I won't. Don't worry. I assured him with a smile. He treated me so well. The least I can do is to respect his wishes. He certainly respects mine. Are you going to the county fair today? Emmett asked John. I wouldn't miss you meeting your mate for the world. John smiled at him. Thanks. Cousin, Emmett replied with a giant grin. Me neither. Not that I have any choice. Dad is taking everyone. I croaked. Yeah. Plus I need to watch how you're going to introduce yourself to her in the biggest event of the year. Not only that, but in the middle of thousands of people. That should be fun. John said. Ugh. I laughed, thinking about it. You're right. John. On second thought. I wouldn't miss this for anything. I can't wait to see that too. I said with a mischievous laughter. And its scowl was deeper. Later. We are having lunch before we get ready for the fair. John is also here even though it's Saturday. I guess he wanted to be close to me. Swoon. So John, how have you been since the scare? Have you swore off sex yet? Dad teased him, Dad. I yelled at him. Gobsmacked. My only concern is for your daughter's happiness. Uncle, whatever she wants that's good for me. John replied, without missing a beat. Oh my goddess. You couldn't be more my brother's son if you tried. It's uncanny. Dad admired him. Thank you, Uncle. That's the best compliment you can give me. He replied with a wide grin. I was impressed. I did not expect that answer from John. Usually, people were just scared of my dad. You know, 'cause he's the alpha. But John held his own. I guess he does have the warrior spirit in him. After lunch, we spend some time kissing in the playroom. But I don't extend too much as I had to get ready for the county fair. Since he was coming too, he didn't mind. We said goodbye to each other and he left for his house. I went upstairs to my room and rested for a minute. Come on, Rosalyn. Please, John pleaded. No, not now. I replied. Curtly, are you sure? He insisted. Yes, maybe. I wasn't so sure. To be honest, I can make it worth your while. Playfully. How much? I asked him with a naughty grin. Well, I can kiss you here. He kisses my hand. Here. He kisses my leg. Here. He kisses my neck. Is that good for you? Can I entice you with more? He asked suggestively. Maybe. If you kiss me. I sound playful as I demonstrate my nether region. Suddenly, I'm naked. He's kissing me everywhere. It feels amazing. My eyes were so lustful they were pitch black. So were his as he kissed and licked me. I want you. Come on. I said and pulled him towards me. He's loving me. Hard. I'm delirious with passion. As he trusts, I moan. As he kisses me, I moan. It goes deeper and deeper. Mate, you're mine, he said to me with his black eyes. Mate, you're mine, I replied to him, as we came together. Both our canines elongated and we took turns biting each other in the neck. It was painful as it was pleasurable. I love you, Rosalyn, he confessed as he lays next to me afterwards. I love you too, John, I told him, still in a daze of lust. Rosalyn, we're gonna be late. Daddy wakes me suddenly. Okay, Daddy, I'll be right there, I replied to him, getting up from my bed, startled. After I finished applying my makeup, I go downstairs to where the rest of my family was. John is also over there as he was coming with us. His mom was working, but his dad was taking his brother to the fair. He just wanted to go with me in our car. Thankfully for him, his dad understands it. When I get to the entrance hall, Dad looked at me weirdly. Are you okay? Rosalyn, you look a little flustered, and your heartbeats are elevated, he asked, worriedly. I am Dad. Thanks. I just had a weird dream, I croaked. There was no point in lying about it. What did you do in the snow? Did you travel to the moon to talk to the goddess? Emmett snickered. No, smartass. I dreamed I was marked by my mate, I replied in a somber tone, and everyone gasped. Oh, fuck. Emmett's face cracked. He was floored by my words. So was John. What? John cried out, heaving. He looked at me so distraught I almost felt bad for him. But more important, why did I dream about it in the first place? Who is playing this terrible prank on me and why? John looked devastated. It's like his whole world came crashing down. If he only knew the wicked game that was at play here. Chapter 20, Cry Baby Say Something, John. It's not like I didn't see it coming. But come on, there's a difference in knowing it's coming and then when it actually comes. It's like death. You know it's coming, you just don't want it to. So I braced myself. But eventually, you gotta live your life. You gotta move on. I mean, life is for the living. Am I right? I enjoy her. I fought for her. Literally. And I would do it all over again. But Spidey, my hated mate. What splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. I asked her, gobsmacked. I'm not gonna repeat that. Rosalyn S. asked me. She didn't look very happy for someone who finally had a mate dream. Who was he? Emmett asked her. He looked so worried you'd think he wasn't meeting his mate for the first time ever. I can't say. She replied, curtly. What? Are you lying? Emmett looked at her suspiciously. I would never lie about this and you know it. She rebuked in an annoyed tone. She's right. No one would ever lie about a mate bond. Are you joking? I asked her. It was rotten. I know. But it was the best I could think of on the spot. I was in denial. My worst nightmare has come true. Do I look like I'm joking? She retorted, looking me dead in the eyes. Guys, give Rosalyn a minute to breathe. She'll talk about it when she's ready. Uncle Dan came to the rescue. We started walking out of the house and into the car. Is it a girl? Emmett asked her with a mischievous smile. His dick is bigger than yours. Rosalyn snickered. I laughed, though I probably should. Rosalyn. Language. Uncle Dan reprimanded. Let's go. Now, he ordered. We hasted our steps. We all get into the car. My dad had already left with Matt, so I was on my own with the Huntingtons for now. As Uncle Dan was driving, we all just stood there, silently. But Emmett looked very worried. Rosalyn looked distraught. I'd think she'd be jumping up and down by now. But no. Rosalyn, do you think your mate is gonna be at the county fair? Is that why you are so secretive about it? Because you know you'll find him before EMM finds his. Uncle Felix asked her and we all gasped. To be honest, it does make some sense. And Rosalyn could definitely pull it off. But Spidey, my hated mate. What splashed around me and my wind spun with the beat of the heavy techno music the DJ was playing. shouted. He was gobsmacked. So were all of us. I knew it wasn't going to be this easy. I knew the goddess had a card up her sleeve. I can't believe this is actually gonna be a race. After all, I can't believe she is making you find your mate at the same place I am. I mean, come on, yelled, incredibly upset. Son, to be honest, this was too easy for you anyway. But when she didn't appear because of a family emergency, my sixth sense told me there was more to the story. I think the goddess is bored and are making you both run for it. Uncle Dan spoke in an amusing tone. He even air-quoted family emergency and he was driving. I know. Dad, I thought it was strange to when she didn't come yesterday. But I've never thought the goddess would pull this one on me. On us, replied, disturbed. Rosalyn started crying. Loudly. She sounded desperate as the tears fell. Why are you crying? I asked her, worriedly. Yes, Rosalyn. Why is it because you finally found your... Uncle Felix asked, concerned. No, Daddy. It isn't. I wish. But no, I've said I dreamed about being marked by my mate. However, I didn't actually say he was my mate. I just dreamed about being marked by someone claiming to be him. But he isn't. She admitted, sobbing hard, which made us all a bit confused. I mean, Emmett looked puzzled. So did Uncle Dan. I'm sorry, sweetie. I really am. Uncle Felix said as he turned to caress her from the front seat of the car. Wait, how did you understand that? Daddy, how can she have dreamed she was marked by her mate if he wasn't? Emmett asked, quizzically. Emmett, leave your sister alone, please. He replied in a serious tone. After 5 minutes of driving, Uncle Dan sighed. Oh, I get it now. He spoke as if he realized something. Did you get it, John? Emmett asked me. Curiously, no, but the important thing is to give her some space now. I said, looking at her. That's impossible when I'm crammed in between idiots. She snickered. I just wish I knew why the goddess is torturing me like this. Why making me dream about a person who isn't my mate? She sounded very upset. She still sobbed. How do you know he isn't your... Oh, I did it now. There's no way his dick is bigger than mine. Emmett snickered. I laughed, though I still didn't know who she's talking about. Mitford Huntington. Say another word about it and I'll bitch slap your mate when I see her. She threatened? Clearly very angry. And it was shook. He was so scared he didn't look at Rosalyn after that. And then it dawns on me. She didn't dream about her mate. She dreamed about the unmade table. I forced myself not to smile. I really tried. Once I realized it, I tried to feel sad for her. But I couldn't. I mean, I want her to ascend. Of course. But I'm not a saint. I can't be happy if she dreamed about her mate. But I can be if she dreamed I was. I would dream it too if I could. However, she's right. It was cruel. Especially after the pregnancy nightmare. It's almost like you're dreaming about an alternative reality. Sweetie, I think your brain has created an escape of sorts, where you're dreaming about all the things that would happen if he wasn't. Uncle Felix pondered. I know, Daddy, but it doesn't help. In fact, it's worse than if I had no dream at all. At least, Dum-Dum knows what to expect from his mate. He even knows she's trans, so not to say something offensive like, have you had surgery yet? She noted. Why would his mate need surgery? I wondered. Puzzled. Oh my goddess. John, shut the fuck up. Could you be any more clueless? She spat at me. I nearly cried. I was so sad. Rosalyn, please don't be like this. John is a 15-year-old straight boy from a small town in the South. It's not like you or your brother who were raised by gay men who taught you to accept your mate regardless of their gender identity. Uncle Felix lectured. I know. I'm sorry. John. She apologized. Apology accepted. I whispered. We arrive at the county fair. It was a massive local event where all the best of the town had to offer was gathered. Their worst stands exposing livestock and crops. Not to mention the food court and booths where you could play shooting, fishing, and other entertaining stuff. To me, it was great. especially since we didn't have much else going on in this town. I even borrowed money from my dad to spend. Meh. On the other hand, was only worried about one thing. He darted across the crowded place to look for her, though I wonder how is he going to introduce himself at this environment. At least, yesterday there were way fewer people. No joke, there were thousands of people here today. Rosalyn looked sad. It was heartbreaking. I mean, I love that she dreamed about me, but it was cruel. Unfortunately, she does have a good point. So I tried to give her some space and dole about my day. Uncles Felix and Dan said that they'll be at the food court if we needed them. I played alongside Matt. I ate with my dad and him. It was awesome. I had a great time. I just wished my mom were here with me. But we bought her something from the fair. My dad did. But still I couldn't shake the image of Rosalyn hurting from my mind. And even when I saw her again, she was still there, silent, brooding, tearful. It was disheartening, and there was nothing I could do to make it better for her. Emmett. I stripped my stuff and walked around. As soon as we arrived, I was a man on a mission. I had to find my mate. That's why I came here. So I scouted the place for her. I walked for an hour and nothing. Granted, there were a lot of people at the fair. Thousands. And it's not like I can send her. I have to find her by looking around. Not that I'd be able to send anyone in this mess anyway. I got hungry, so I went to the food court to find something to eat. My dads were there. As expected, they shot me a glance, but I just looked down. I was too sad to face them. I got a big sandwich and took it to a table at the center. The place was packed, but it was mostly families, so I took one of the 2 single spots available. I took all my frustrations on my sandwich. I mean, I was gnawing it like an animal. Is this seat taken? An unknown voice asked. I looked up from my sandwich and there she was. The most beautiful sight to behold. Yes, of course. Samantha. I blurted, and instantly regretted. How do you know my name? I only just moved into this town. She looked at me suspiciously, as she sat with her food. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be weird. It's just that my granddad was the chief of police. So when my dad got word of his retirement party, he looked up the new chief and his family, and showed them to us. I replied, awkwardly. There was nothing I could do but to tell the truth. I'm not a good liar. That's thorough. So you're a Ford? She asked, still looking a little spooked. Yes, I am Emmett Ford Huntington. Nice to meet you. I'm sorry for the mess. I am stress eating. I should really stop blurting truths at this point. Why are you stressed? You look like a student in its summer. She asked point blank. I know. Right. I should be having the time of my life. It's just that I had an argument with my sister. I have a twin sister and she's really annoying. I answered. Again, all I could do is to be honest, even if it wasn't the whole truth. She smiled a little. I have a sister too, as you probably already know since your dad Googled us. She snickered. So I get it. She gets on my nerves sometimes, she said, as she smiled softly. Wow. You have such a beautiful smile. I blurted. I couldn't help myself, though I should have. Oh my goddess. Emmett, stop being creepy. You're gonna scare her off. Thanks. You have sauce on your face. She told me. I immediately grabbed a napkin to clean my face off. Gosh, this is so embarrassing. So, how do you like the town so far? I questioned her, trying to diffuse my awkwardness. I'd like it better if I wasn't here. No offense, she replied, without missing a beat. None taken. That's exactly what my dad thought too. He moved her in his senior year when his dad took over as chief. I told her, really? What a coincidence. She observed. I know. Right. That's probably why he looked your family up. He was curious. I said, trying to make it less weird. I'm sure he had a better time here than I will. Small towns aren't exactly ideal for a person like me. She admitted, not looking pleased. I get that she was forced to come here like my dad. What do you mean a person like you? I questioned. Quizzically, I meant fabulous. She smirked as she flips around her beautiful blonde hair. I knew what she meant. Of course, even if I didn't already know. I wasn't blind. I could see the stubble behind the heavy makeup. I noticed the male figure she tried to hide in her clothes and what I believe is some sort of costume filling. I know what she tried to cover underneath it all. Of course. And what about school? Are you excited for senior year? I asked her. Excitedly. Sort of. I'll be glad to be done with it as soon as possible. I would homeschool, but both my parents work. And I still have to take care of my baby sister. I mean, not so much right now as she's already 15. But I still watch over her. She told me. I could tell she didn't have a good high school experience so far. Well, I hope you do well in our school. And if you need anything at all, I'm here for you, I said, which made her smile. Thanks. Izam, we're waiting for you. Her dad arrived at our table, looking anxious to go. Okay, Dad. Bye, Emmett. It was nice to meet you, she said as she got up and left with her dad. You too. Have a good summer. I spoke as I watched her leave. I was in awe. That was actually better than I expected. I mean, it was touch and go for a second, but I managed to turn it around. And I was radiating joy. I couldn't stop smiling from the moment she left. Even my dad's gasped at hearing our story. Except for my sister. Of course. But that's to be expected. If I'm completely honest, I braced myself for a much tougher competition. I mean, should she have dreamed about her mate? It's much easier for a girl to get a boy to do anything than the other way around. I guess I am just glad that the only thing she dreamed about is actually it. A dream impossible to be realized. It was sad, sure, but now I am on the forefront of Alpha. And there's nothing stopping me now that I found my mate. Thank you all for joining me in the wild world of Wild Werewolf. I hope you had an amazing time. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments and likes, and come back for more wild adventures. See you next time.